Christine, about expanding the scope and not only being confined to Kenya High School, because the problems are common among girls at high school. Betty, I'll come to you. On the issue of FGM, I'll couple it with this. There is the bigger problem of also early marriages for these girls, which at times causes psychological warfare, ends up with the girl or the girls performing underwhelmingly in terms of their national examinations, writing KCSE. So how do you address these cultural problems, problems, because they are a challenge, and how do you overcome?
First of all, allow me to say that gender-based violence is a broad issue, and female genital mutilation is just one aspect of it. So allow me to talk about violence broadly, because insofar as gender-based violence is concerned, it's a cultural issue. Why? Because while some communities practice some certain cultures, that are detrimental to their girls and women, broadly, the way we as an African people are brought up and set up, there's a way in which men need to behave, there's a way in which women need to behave, and when that is not understood the right way in the current context, then you find boys and men growing up knowing that it is my role to beat up a woman. That in itself is a violence issue. Where I work, I touch so many girls who are actually violated sexually in their houses. And you'd expect the house space to be the safest space. Back to female genital mutilation. Where does it happen? In the homes where these young girls grow. And it is something done to them by women, by their mothers, their grandmothers, their aunties, the women, caregivers around them. For what? To prepare them for the man, really. Technically, that's bottom line, how I say it. And we find that communities that actually practice this do so claiming that that's a rite of passage, and there are certain acts of the process that is actually good. There's a lot of education to the girls and boys around how their bodies function. That part is pretty good. Preparing them for, roles in their adulthood, that is fine. But give them time to be the adult, before then you throw them into the pool of functioning as child brides, of functioning as, people's wives. I know a case in point of a girl from Kajiado County who ran to me, literally running. She found me. And she was running away from not going back to school during the school holidays because she's been earmarked for circumcision. And she's saying the minute she goes the cut, the day you're cut, you're only left one day in your home. Day 2 after the cut, when you're still raw and fresh, this 60, 50-year-old man comes for you. And that is going to be your husband. And at that point, your life, literally stops. And we see, as Louis and my colleagues have said, it is up to the girls and the women to push forward society, to push forward the next generation. So if she is not educated herself, chances that her children will be educated are actually slim. So what do we need to do? I think as a people, as a country, we need to have honest conversations around gender-based violence. We need to put men on the forefront. That is, I think, a gap that people in the empowerment field perhaps miss, because if I'm putting all women in the room and there's no man in there, I can talk all day, but no action is not gonna. So we need to figure out ways in which men and boys feel safe to join in this conversation, and we leave up to them the responsibility to ensure that their daughters are safe, their mothers are safe, their sisters are safe, and so on. So for me, the starting point is we need to bring men into the equation.
Christina, I'll come to you. You will respond to that also. But allow me to couple it up with this question. There is need for the expansion of the scope, is it?
Yes, I agree.
In the sense that you not only focus or be confined within the coffers of, or within the boundary of one school, but rather also get in touch with other schools, form a framework, have that chain, identify, establish the common problems, and deploy expertise, or the experts in this case, to where the problem is or to the affected one. So how are you going about that, grouping and coming together?
Yeah, thank you so much. I do agree there is need. You see, the children that we're talking about, the young girls that we're talking about, and boys, in fact, are our kids. These are the nation's kids. They are not kids of Kenya High or, and so on. Yes, I do agree. We do need to interact, as the, what do you call us? The parents, if you like, foster parents, having been 30 years outside of school and I know some things, I've experienced some things, interact with my colleagues who similarly have been out of school 30 years, have known some things, have interacted and impacted in different ways, and partner with them. You know, in speaking with colleagues and friends from other schools recently, I've been saying, hey, you guys, do you have an alumni society? Are you guys doing this? Are you going back? And I agree completely with what Louise said. In the ability to draw from the strengths of each other. Because inevitably, like I said, again, we are impacting our nation. It's not Kenya High girls. It's not, you know, whichever other school that I attended. It's the kids that come out of Kenya High that get into government. It's the kids that come out of Nairobi School that get into the development world. They become us if we can impact them now, and as a greater society, as a greater community, then how much better will our nation be, you know?
Let's go, Tambia, go ahead, please.
Yeah.
Yes, I was just going to plug into that and say, you know, one of the beautiful things that our government has done, too, actually, is the free primary and free secondary education. And the second thing is the free sanitary pads. You know, I think that's just as good as it gets. And because of that, that means every child has an opportunity to go to school. Actually, every child has a right and an opportunity to go to school. And that means the dynamics of that are changing the entire landscape. And that's why, you know, like Louise said, we cannot even be confined in what we call mainstream careers anymore. We are having so many thoughts and ideas and innovation coming from all over the world, I mean, all over the country. I mean, from northern Kenya, south and west. You know, children who would never have thought that they would see the inside of a class now have an opportunity. I think it's actually even against the law not to send your child to school anymore, right? Yeah. So that means we have to actually get into that space now as people who've been in that path and start to shape the minds of these children.